Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 5th of August, year 2026. Hope everyone is staying cooler. I know it's summer everywhere. I live in Texas, so it's pretty hot, and we've been going through like heat wave after heat wave. So hopefully everybody's staying cool and safe. I'm going to start with welcoming our panel today. We have Lakshmi, who is part of our core group of meditators. Good evening, Lakshmi. And she also leads workshops. Whenever we host workshops at this for this group, Lakshmi leads workshops on mantra chanting. She has a mantra chanting session and meditation every Tuesday, and a monthly spiritual Q&A and talk on a Sunday. If anybody's interested in it, please contact Lakshmi. We have Wyatt here who has joined us. He's regularly now joining us on the Facebook Live, as well as joining us during the group meditations, as well as Sri Lakshmi has joined us online. Today, Lakshmi, I actually wanted to talk about this. Like a lot of people talk about, they have like this imposter syndrome, right? And if you remember, last week or last time that we met, maybe you may have dropped. I think towards the end, I don't remember when Patricia was talking about, like she was feeling like this nervousness about her job, what is happening, like instability at her job or something. She'll have to explain when she comes in. But I wanted you to talk about this thing that people call, which is imposter syndrome. Do you have any thoughts on this?
And what exactly is imposter syndrome? I haven't heard about it.
You haven't heard about it? It's like a voice in the head says, oh, who do you think you are? Like if you say, oh, I think I'm going to start a group meditation on a weekly basis, and
Yeah,
people are going,
self-defeating thoughts, basically, which
correct.
which 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 don't allow them to be aligned to their self. Yeah,
Correct.
basically, self-defeating thoughts that who do you think you are? You are
Correct.
not good at anything. Your mom told you, your dad told you, and all your friends told you also, and suddenly
Correct.
you think you are good at this, and so
Yeah,
it's all those
exactly.
self-defeating thoughts. Yeah. Um, so what was the question? What do I think about this?
Yeah. What do you, if somebody has imposter syndrome, what guidance do you have for them to overcome their imposter syndrome?
I mean, I would guide them the way I would guide anyone going through constant negative self talk. The first thing is to become aware of the self talk. And the second thing is to watch, like Eckhart says, um, he gives the example of the cat and the mouse, which I love. He says that, so imagine that there is a cat in your house and there are rats also around in your house, and then there is a little hole through which cat suddenly spotted a rat. And so its entire attention will be focused on that hole, because any time the rat can come, and so it is going to pounce on it the minute it comes. So our mind is also like that. So I have done this experiment with many people, asking that, become so aware like a cat and tell me what your next thought is. So I ask them to close their eyes and then become so aware and tell me what their next thought is. And then most of the time, if people are really focused, they come back and said, I don't know, I didn't get any thought. Absolutely. So because all thoughts stop when you become so conscious, because your consciousness is the light and that thought is the darkness. So I give this advice to anyone who's going through any negative self talk, is to is to stop, because what negative self-talk is very good at is it starts gaining momentum the more you allow it to persist. So one self-talk, one self-defeating thought comes as to who do you think you are, and then the next one, you failed at this even 1 year back, you failed at this even 10 years back, and then it just keeps you in that downward path, and then 1 day, 2 day, 1 month, 2 months, and you are bashing yourself constantly, and you are not really, that is not helping you in any way at all. It is just taking you down the path. So I tell that stop this momentum first, is to become aware of your pattern and to you know watch what your next thought is, and there you broke the momentum. I'm sure pain body and all of this negative self talk is just so powerful. It's not going to just stop in just one attempt where you looked at the thought and oh my god, I have achieved so it's not going to be like that. So you have to do this multiple times. And I also advise people where they can take a ice block from the fridge and rub it over your face, or wash their face with really cold water. It kind of produces what is called as acetylcholine in your body. And that acetylcholine at that moment stops all negative thinking. So that is the second advice I would give people. And the third advice is to focus on your breathing and to start doing as slow breathing as you can, and deeper exhales than inhales. And the pranayama that I would suggest anybody having this imposter syndrome or constant negative self-talk and pain body taking over, all of this is do Brahmari pranayama, or which is called humming bee meditation. So it is basically, I'm just going to remove my eyes glasses and show you. So it is basically keeping both your fingers on your eyes, and then put your thumb inside your ear, and then the ring finger over your lips, and then the pinky finger underneath your lips. So you're blocking every possible way, and you close your mouth and start for as long as you can. Start humming. You cannot be humming and entertaining negative self-thought at the same time. So start humming, start watching your thoughts, pretend you are the cat, watching what the next thought is going to be. Wash yourself face with cold water, or get a ice block and rub it. And there are many ways, right? And slow breathing is the best. Slow breathing, because when your breath slows down, your thoughts slow down. I have personally experienced this, how my breathing completely changed over the years. I breathe so slowly, and then my thoughts also are not those. I don't overthink about anything. So when your breathing changes, your thoughts also change. So for now, this is the advice that I would give anyone, Poonam. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Eternally grateful, Lakshmi. Always filled with insights and wisdom, each and every word. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I loved your humming meditation. It'll be recorded, so hopefully people get to rewatch it and they can follow it over and over again. And one of the things I heard, I've started listening a little bit to somebody called Joe Hudson, who also is into this personal improvement or personal development. This thing, I think in one of his talks, he says the imposter syndrome is more like if a person is not actually living their true self. Right? So this person is like in Eckhart's terms, to me, the way I understood it is in Eckhart's terms, this person is playing a role. right? The fourth
Yeah.
chapter of A
Yeah.
New Earth. They're
Yeah.
playing a role, and
Yeah.
then suddenly this thought comes, oh, who do you think you are? Do you really think you can, like if somebody thought that they could be a life coach, like in his world, in Joe Hudson's world, most of them are coaches or they're doing personal development coaching, right? His students are doing personal development coaching. And then some people think that, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Then the imposter syndrome will be, who do you think you are? You think you can run a business? You think you can lead a business? Those kind of thoughts will arise, right? So thank you so much. So I thought that that was like a really why they're saying, yes, Poonam, that person is not authentic, there is no gratitude. So that's what I feel is the gap. Like here's your true self, and you're trying to be this somebody else, and then the imposter syndrome arises. So thank you so much for your wisdom.
So welcome.
Grateful for it.
So welcome.
I see Francesca too here. Francesca, we're just talking about thank you so much for being here, Francesca. So I know Patricia is joining, she's online now. What I wanted to or the topic that we were talking about is why do people think that they have this imposter syndrome? That suddenly, like they're doing well in their world, and then suddenly a thought will arise, oh, who do you think you are that you're going to do this? Or who do you think you are? You think you're going to succeed in whatever you're doing, whatever the imposter syndrome may be, right? The negative thoughts may be. So if you want to speak to it.
Sure.
Or in your case, since you've been trying to heal, who do you think you are that you're thinking that you're going to heal by yourself? Right?
No, I don't have the imposter syndrome in
I'm
that
just saying,
regard.
I'm just giving an example. I'm just giving an
Yeah,
example. People may get
yeah,
that too, right? They're trying to heal
yeah,
themselves in the imposter
yeah.
syndrome. Maybe who do you think you are that you're thinking that you can heal yourself, right?
Okay, yeah. So from my observation, like Wyatt said, delivering it raw, it's a lack of authenticity. And I've seen that grown all across. Actually, it is happening still. It has grown significantly, frequency wise in the self-help / spiritual teaching industry, and so the imposter syndrome and the feelings, the associated interconnected feelings, underlying feelings that arise is a result of that lack of authenticity because it's a result of guilt and shame. So for example, somebody not doing the inner work, but going to, a teacher who have really toiled and done their inner work, came into that wisdom and delivered it, based on their destiny and so forth. And then, there's the imposter who comes in, goes to the workshop, has the beautiful ability to memorize things and remember such things, and then they deliver that teaching, for example, as if it's their teaching and so forth, and they brand it and they change, different. They actually, there's a lot of imposter syndrome that I've witnessed happening in that regards. And that was actually during the time when I also noticed a lot of it was coming up in the collective in that regards. And so I think that was when the verbiage around this started arising because, imposter syndrome, if you're not authentic, there is going to be guilt, right? And when there's guilt, there's shame. And so the interconnected form of thoughts and feeling that arise when you're aware that you're not authentic. Because one of the things I kind of share this when I used to do one-on-one clients and such is, you can't fool the universe, literally, right? Because everything is, we are in this cosmic dance, right? It's all cause and effect, right? And so you might be able to, be a certain way, and but that doesn't necessarily sustain. So for example, if you were the same person, like you mentioned before, like entrepreneur, if they're going to take what they learned, right, and decide to go and start a business, and that business may in the very first year, maybe 2 year, maybe a few months, it depends on how, how well the person that's doing it, they're able, or how long they're able to do that for, right? But the long-term effect of that is we know it's not going to last, right? It's going to come to an end. So that's my experience in relation to observation of where that imposter syndrome, or that whole imposter language and verbiage around it came about to be. So it emanates so it emanates from guilt, from shame, and it's a result of lack of authenticity. And actually, Eckhart, I'm not too sure if you guys joined Eckhart Talk the last couple of days ago. I think it was on the 1st of August when we did that community sit. And he shared, actually, it was like this beautiful example of, he didn't use the word imposter syndrome or anything like that, but he talked about the bee, and that, the beautiful bee makes honey, right? And so he used that as an example, right? For, in religion, for example, there's a lot of people who, call themselves priests, they receive ordinate, all these things, right? And they can speak the language. My God, they've memorized the Bible, and or they, intelligence, the way it works, right? They have the ability, they have that knowledge about something, about the honey, about the bee, right? And they'll speak about honey, but they've never really truly tasted the honey, right? And I'm definitely not saying it as beautiful as he shared in the example. It's not coming out as profoundly as Eckhart shared it, but essentially, it's not even coming out in the energy that he shared it, because I started giggling when he did. I wrote it down because I'm like, oh my God, this is such a beautiful example, right? Knowing everything about honey and the bee, and we can speak about it profoundly, right? And you sound very knowledgeable, but you've never actually truly tasted the honey, right? So you have no idea, so it's like, here in the vertical dimension, right? There's a lot of so the honey he was using actually is the example of the essence, of who we truly are, that divine emanation, right? That, and the wisdom that arises from that, right? Which happens through the self-examination, the self-observation, and then that self-realization, that golden thread, that beautiful pearl, which arises as a result. So that's the honey, right? But if you've never tasted it, if you've never, sat and meditated and do that necessary inner work to, through the layers, you haven't moved through the layers of, observation, observing the mind, the thought that comes, that takes form, right? An experience that takes form and creates that story, right? And then not only that, understanding, okay, well, why is this even happening in my mind? So going deeper into the pain body and getting to that root cause. So if you haven't even, if you're not able to identify the cause and really understand why this is arising, you technically wouldn't be able to dissolve that pattern, right? Because you won't be able to become present with it, because the only way of dissolving it, of course, is becoming present. And if you don't understand what it is, then there is no presence, right? You're just vibrating at the surface, I say at the mercy of form. And form has its, meaning making, story making, you know what it does, right? The monkey mind goes off into its story making to justify what it is, that you're, to justify what you're doing. And unfortunately, for people who were caught like in that imposter syndrome, guilt and shame, that's literally what's happening below the surface, right? Within the mind, there is, this divine intelligence, which we all have, even when our consciousness is partially asleep, because I always say it never fully goes to sleep. Of course it doesn't. It's always there. We just were taught to gaslight it, to ignore it, to dismiss it, to like push it away, right? Pretty much. And because we were programmed to flow and operate on the surface level and identify with form. And one of those form is, the mind and the story and the meaning making that happens there on the surface level. So we're still in the horizontal, and that's interconnected with everything that's happening in the horizontal, which, and so forth, right? I mean, it goes deep. Or yeah, and so yeah, that's kind of what's happening with imposter syndrome in that regards. It's basically one sentence: lack of authenticity is what below that's what that is. And then everything else that's arising. And so when the person is in, let's say somebody's becoming an entrepreneur, and the thought will arise like, yeah, who do you think you are? Here's the other thing though, there is there is another piece to this: who do you think you are? Because fear will also do that to somebody who's an entrepreneur, or perhaps who wants to be a teacher, for example, right? So the beautiful thing about self-examination and meditative awareness, like, sitting with something, not just for, a minute or two. Sometimes you may have to sit with something that's arising for multiple days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, examining it in layers as it happens, right? Because what happens is, you know, there is a not enoughness that I believe every single human on the planet run this program. So it's a collective program, the not enoughness, right? And so people that are, for example, I remember it happened to me, where it's like, oh my God, so many people would be like, oh my God, Francesca, like this is profound, you need to teach this and blah, blah, blah. And, for me, I would be like, no, I'm not Eckhart Tolle. I'm not like Martin Luther, I'm not like Jesus or anything. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and so I was running at one point that not enoughness frequency, right? And that is very different from imposter syndrome, feeling like you're an imposter. So again, I'm aware of this because, and you're aware of it because we've seen both halves of the coin, right? And being able to see the difference with such that depth of clarity makes a huge difference. So yeah, imposter has nothing to do with not enoughness. There is feeling of not enoughness that will arise when you're an imposter and you lack authenticity, but that difference in not enoughness is coming from the awareness that, hey, you're not being authentic. This is not yours, to teach, or it's not, this isn't yours, it's really stealing, or whatever the case may be. I mean, this could use for multiple example, not just teaching. I'm just using it as teaching and as an example because I've seen it so much. And what ends up happening, and this is why I actually, there was one point where I became really passionate about this, because I'm like, okay, universe, where, there's many, many beautiful beings that have toiled and worked really hard to, raise the frequency of our planet and, and play a role in birthing this new earth. But what happens with, the imposter, part of that frequency is that there are people who end up getting hurt, right? Because for the average person whose consciousness is now waking up, they're not going to be able to tell a difference between somebody who's a true healer versus somebody who's just an imposter, right? So that's causing more pain. That being said, though, I think about a year or so ago, I was sitting with this because it really, really, I was like, okay, universe, I need to get past this, how I was feeling like it, because it affected me. I was like, oh my God, this is creating such a mess. It's like, oh my goodness, my mind was just, taking form. It was like, okay, this is creating more work because here we are, trying to clean up the planet, and then there's like more and more work to do. Mind you, I was, in my state of exhaustion and so forth. And then that was when I had another realization that occurred just from sitting in that messiness of the thought formation as it was arising, thinking, oh my goodness, blah, blah, blah. And then I had this other profound realization, well, even the imposters are playing a role in this cosmic dance of, whether it's madness or beauty, glory, it's all of his glory, even that in its own crazy way. So the universe just literally put a positive spin on it for me, because even that in its own crazy way, it's playing its profound role, because from that depth, it means we're not the only ones that are sharing, cosmic wisdom, whether they're awakened or not. They're sharing things that needs to be shared at the global level all across the planet, because face it, when you look at the entertainment industry, we have more movies and more content that comes out of entertainment when it comes to like, low frequency, everything from music to like movies to like content, and that is, the mess that got us here in the first place. So even the imposters are in a way playing a profound role in awakening humanity, because at the end of the day, they're not sharing about pornography or something that is, low frequency. They are helping to share the same wisdom that we're sharing. And we need more of that pushed up to the surface, I guess is what it is. I'm like doing the action. We need more of that in the forefront, in the horizontal dimension. We need more delivery of this great, beautiful wisdom. And hey, if somebody is an imposter and they can repeat it profoundly and even better than I can, go for it, because we need more of that noise, as opposed to, the unconscious noise which we've been feeding and that got us in this mess in the first place. So I'm going to wrap up my thought with that. So that's how I dissolved that this new, it was just like, okay, they are playing their own role. My God, the universe is so beautiful, right? This beautiful sacred geometric dance in all of its form. It's, at the end of the day, playing its own divine, profound role. And it's beautiful because there is no judgment. It dissolved any judgment that I had in that regards, because it's like, wow, hey man, they're helping. It's like worker bees and no, that's actually worker bees. That's a bad example. Let's take that away, because now we're getting into identity and layering and okay, no, that's coming. Okay, that was the ego mind trying to peep through there, my ego mind. So yeah, the whole beautiful cosmic dance that we're in, I say thank you for the help.
Beautiful. Infinite gratitude. Thank you so much, Francesca. I love the fact that you said that guilt and shame is what could be driving, like, the imposter syndrome that I'm talking about is that you're leading your daily, I'm not talking about imposters, like I'm not talking about people pretending to be another person. I'm talking about the imposter syndrome being like you're trying to do something different than what your current life is. And then a voice in the head says, who do you think you are? I mean, if you say you're going to start, I mean, if a person says, oh, I'm working a corporate job, or I'm working a job at a restaurant, I'm a waiter at a restaurant, and suddenly they go, oh, I have the ability to go open my own restaurant, or I have the ability to start my own kind of food truck or something. And then the voice in the head will say, who do you think you are to think that you can start that? That is called the imposter. Like if somebody says,
okay, so for me, I label that as not enoughness, that program of not feeling,
right,
enough, and
right,
because you haven't stepped up
right,
to that, you
right,
haven't, that requires inner work to, meet
right,
your coming back home to self, right?
right,
And then that clears the path as we go
right,
along. So for
correct.
me, I label that as not enough.
Not enough.
But okay.
So let
Yeah.
me read what
Thank
Wyatt
you.
posted here. Thank you so much. they think that they are not enough, is what Wyatt said too. And he said, our egoic mind wants to keep us victim as it continues feeding off the life force energy of other people, and especially ourselves. Each
Yep.
success without fulfillment, our success on the outside appears to us to be gold. However, on the inside, it's filled with lead and called fool's gold. So, Patricia, it kind of, thank you for joining us, Patricia. I let everyone know that you were running late already. Um, the question was, speak something about the imposter syndrome. And Lakshmi gave a fantastic tip of watching our thoughts. One of the questions I would have is, some people don't even know that they can watch their thoughts, right? She gave that example from The Power of Now, where Eckhart says, be a cat watching a mouse hole, right? How are you going to watch, like, to be aware of your thinking, be like a cat watching the mouse hole. And how are you going to be so attentive, right? And I feel some people don't even know that they don't even have a separation, that they're so blended in with their thoughts, right? They are their thoughts. So it's for them to watch their thoughts is also, they don't even know, okay, what is this? They think even this voice that is saying, oh, you're going to be a loser, is like truth, right? So, and it kind of stemmed from what you were ending the call with last time, Patricia. You were saying something was happening at work, and now you were feeling maybe it's not right or something like that, right? So welcome. Look, good to see you, Patricia.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good to be here. I actually was rushing because I stopped at the start to pick up some goodies for tomorrow. We celebrate people's birthdays. So tomorrow is one of the technicians' birthday, and I always get some, pastries just for breakfast. So everybody can
Awesome.
share. So that was my excuse for being late. I'm sorry. This is a very interesting, great subject. And I've been living with that imposter syndrome in the past for a long time. And so my first step was someone actually naming it. I didn't know what it was. I just felt like that's not good enoughness. Like if I was in college, right? I had my master's. I did it MBA in Poland. I did even a second, and even then, after I had my credibilities, and then whoever went on the stage, I took a course, and it's like I don't know anything. Like I loved the thing, but it's like I cannot ever do that. It was always that comparing. So I think that's the what ego, obviously, the comparing. I'm not good enough. There are always people better than me. Don't stand a chance. And I finally realized, thanks to Eckhart's teachings and this group, and also very powerful reel from Sadhguru. He said something. Don't speak of anything that it's not in your experience. And I'm like, oh. So if you try, yeah, you're learning something, you just want to quickly, oh, that's great, I'm just going to sell it this day. But this authenticity part that also we were talking about in the chat and here, this is exactly, once it's in your experience, nobody can tell you that you have imposter syndrome because you felt it, you were there. So I think this is where our power would be. And this is what a lot of coaches they're selling, because use your suffering, use your pain and how you overcame it to teach or to coach other people so they don't have to go through that years and years of going back and forth and suffering. They can actually follow some kind of path. Obviously, if it works for them, yes, they do it their way. But this is where the imposter syndrome does not exist. You wouldn't even think about it because you're doing it your way, right? I'm doing it my way. However, I was in so many situations that I was put in a position that it's like, I shouldn't be here. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I can't but something was attracting me. So that energy, like I almost felt like that could be me. So it was like two forces acting me. I was there because I either needed to see that this is really what I want and what should I do to get there? Follow the footsteps of people that are already there because it's authentic. Or see that, okay, I tried it. I'm really not there and I don't want it. So sometimes actually the imposter syndrome was actually helping me because I realized, I mean, I got a very silly job once as a assistant technical designer for a fashion company because it was a family member had an opening. And it's like, okay, come on, work for me. I'll show you everything. So I needed money. I was kind of desperate. And there was, I didn't have to really interview. Nobody was, putting me under microscope through like million steps because she just brought me in. I was in. And it was kind of easy to get in there because of support of the family member. It was actually, but I was there every day. I'm like, trying to do it, but it's like it's not, it just doesn't align. There's some good things, I get the money, but sooner or later I knew it's gonna finish. And when I was actually let go because there was some changes in the department, everybody, new designer came, she brought her, I was relieved because, I wanted to do my best out of the fact that I was grateful. I was there, I was making money, I was learning new things, but it was just like I was put completely on a different planet and like, what am I doing here? But I made the best out of it. What I concentrate on it, that in the meantime, in every moment, I was just doing my best to fit in. And I honestly just let the universe decide if it's going to work or not. I think this is also a secret, that being aligned. But we don't know. When we live in those identifications, you really don't know who you truly are in your essence, right? Unless you have a guru or you have a friend or you have a group like this that slowly will peel those layers of ego and identification and see what you are in your core. And once you get there, there's no imposters because there's no one in the universe just like you. You cannot, if you are being you, if you're living the purpose that God created for you, and you actually are aligned with that energy of abundance, of love, and just with being that light, I mean, no matter what you touch, I feel that you're gonna just turn into gold because, like you said, you're giving them that selfless effort of being in the moment. So it might seem on the outside that, it's fish out of water kind of thing, but maybe you're not a fish. Maybe this is the way for you to realize that you're not a fish. that you're a bird, you're a bird that thought you were a fish, but now it's like it's silly things. But there's a reason, honestly, there's a reason for everything. And through my experience, like I said, sometimes the imposter syndrome helped me to actually realize that this is not what I want to do. This is not. And sometimes it was the fuel of actually saying, okay, I want to be that. This is something I want to be, like leader of positivity, of someone that gives speeches and runs meetings. And even despite my English being a second language, and sometimes I get stuck, if I concentrate on the message and on the energy, what I want, my intention is for everybody in the meeting. If I honestly, it's so hilarious. If I miss something on, if I don't, someone will like say something or come up with it. Like, I don't have to worry. Oh my God, I forgot this number. Someone will just say it. Like, it becomes a collaboration of all of us, that meeting. Yes, I'm standing there and I have kind of a structure. I have few things I want to say, but then everybody's chipping in. There's engagement. And that's what I love. And I'm not taking credit. And the meeting is over. Everybody, that was a great meeting, but everybody feels that because people were part of it. It wasn't, oh, Patricia, you're so amazing. You had such an incredible present. I don't do that. I just let others be great. And this is what I want. So I finally realized that this is not, and before I was so afraid. I cannot speak, public speaking in front of anybody. I would just turn complete in school. I was turned completely red. My heart was racing like crazy. And then I saw people do that and I knew I want this. So I had to overcome, in a sense, this imposter syndrome to do what I love, which is just, leading with positivity, turning everything. And even now, my boss, he comes to me with something negative, right? He's like, oh, I don't know what happened, this and that, like, you gotta blah. And then I said, okay, I see your point and I'll make sure I'll take care of it. However, there is another side to it. Oh, stop with those other sides. You always find and always good things in stuff. I said, because you got to balance. There is no just 100% wrong. There is also good that this came up with. So at this point, he's just funny. He starts to, I was like, oh yeah, I know what you're gonna say, that happened for a reason. It's just, and then we work on it. So first, again, you gotta believe and be true, because I'm almost finding that people are trying to test me. It's like testing Patricia, because if we all wanna feed on negativity, and she's the only one that sees good in things, let's test her. Let's bring her to our negativity side. And in those moments, I don't see it as a bad thing. I mean, yes, this happened, but we'll together deal with it and something good will come out of it. I mean, things happen for a reason. And I love that this is my default right now. Instead of for 47, 8 years, my default was, I'm a victim. Why is this happening to me? Nobody loves me. I'm not good enough. I just want to die. That was my default. And slowly, after every day, little bits of pieces, meditations, Dr. Joe's kaleidoscope. I love that meditation, just being completely in unknown, because when he said that once you let go of all the identification, 3D, and this energy that keeps you here, and you go into unknown, and you get those higher emotions, the energy, then whatever the problems are here on the lower frequencies, they're gonna like drop. Like things will, by effortless grace, take care of themselves. You don't have to struggle and complete strive and control and rethink everything, you know. But obviously there is a point of taking action. So
Yeah,
and
so-
taking action is better not taking action, because even Eckhart said if you're stuck, you know, that's this energy, you're stuck, you got to make decision and you have to let go, even if it's not the right decision according to you and it turns out, but you can still learn from it. You can still learn what you don't want, for example. So, and that's what will dissolve completely imposter syndrome, because you're living your authentic, unique, your path, your life, every moment by moment by moment, and being present. So that's how every once in a while it comes up. I still have the little bit voice, like you said, in my head, you know, and my father being so highly critical. His famous things like, I will never make any man happy. Yeah, because I was not making him happy, right? So whatever, that was me saying, hearing this at a teenage girl, like 16, 17 years old, with his tongue like, you will never make every man happy, and Polish, obviously. So,
But it
and
sounds more harsh in Polish.
I know, of course. And you know what I did, Poonam? I actually, I did use Byron Katie's on that, her question, her work, right? Do the work of questioning. Really?
Is
Maybe
it true? Is it
yeah,
really true?
turn it around. Is that really true? Like, So that worked very, like, taking it apart, laughing at it, whatever, that helped. Now the other thing, that I heard not so long ago, like one job before that, one of the coaches, business coaches, said, Patricia, you're not a manager. Like, I'm not a manager.
Were
But
you not a manager?
I actually gave myself a title after being office manager, because that's not really what I was doing. I gave myself a title of director of customer experience, because I wanted develop this whole thing. That was interesting, but that fell into the category of my father telling me that, you know, I'm not good enough, whatever. But I realized she actually meant something good, because I never wanted to be that kind of manager. Like, all the managers in that company were authoritarian, your way of the highway, everybody's a number. If you don't do this, you can go, disposable, you know, fear. This is, if this is means that this is what means it being manager, I don't want it, because this is not what I am.
Yes.
So I turn it around into leader of positivity, like finding that, and that's what drives me. Titles are titles, but what you
Beautiful.
do with it.
Thank you so much for your insights, Patricia. Grateful for it. I love the fact that you stated that there was a point in time that you worked at a job that you were not really meant for. So the imposter syndrome can also be if you're in the wrong type of job. Like, you may think that you want to be an entrepreneur, and the imposter syndrome is saying you cannot be an entrepreneur. But it also may be that, yeah, you truly are not meant to be an entrepreneur. You're meant to be something
So
else.
yes, it's what you do with it. It's you
Exactly.
can use it as your friend or as your foe, you know, foe,
Perfect.
whatever. So that's
That's
the thing. You got to have that, but insight
Sounds
in
good.
yourself, like you all said, you got to have that insight.
Sounds good. So I know Lakshmi dropped because we have the yoga session starting. So I'll let Wyatt wrap us up. Thank you, Patricia. Grateful for all the input, the wisdom shared, and the fact that you were, the greatest joy is that you were able to make it. I'm like, I host this Facebook Live for Patricia and she's not here. So I called you, I texted you and everything. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Go ahead, Wyatt, let's wrap it up. What are your insights? I know you posted a few things. You are on mute. You may have to unmute. Thank you.
Dude, okay, I think yeah, I'm all set.
Sorry, we
Okay,
can hear you.
good. So everything that got shared with Francesca and now with Patricia is a wonderful reminder to me that the antidote is never resistance, and it's always about acknowledging things are the way they are, they're not the way they're not, and that I don't need to be an escape artist in my own life. All I need to do is acknowledge that given my lack of consciousness, I just did the best I knew how. That's all I need to do. And I was just laughing here with what Patricia's father said about her with men is what my dad used to say to me about me with women.
Women.
Yeah, no woman will ever tolerate you or want you the way you are. And then he would stand over me, point his finger like this with real rage. And he said, listen, boy, you got to know that in this world, there's the right way, there's the wrong way, and there's no room for your way. So, and your laughter says it all, Poonam.
No, it is. I agree with Poonam.
Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, exactly.
Thank
Both
you
of
for
you.
sharing. That was so.
Yeah, oh, all the time.
And I
All
know
the
you were
time.
probably very scared in that moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, you know, for the longest time, I actually believed all this stuff. And and the more I struggle, it's like a straitjacket in a nut house. The more you struggle, the tighter it gets. So the more I resisted what was shallow and sick in the environment, not sick, I should say, but the level of the lack of conscious awareness. The more I struggled with that, I kept adding to the fishbowl getting murkier all the time. And so after a while, I couldn't see out. I couldn't even remember what the room looked like, much less the inside of me. And so it's all about how I choose to see things. The instant I push in the metaphorical clutch, it disengages me from the thinking of the engine inside me, from the feelings that are turning the drive shaft of the vehicle called me, to how quickly the axles rotate. It's just a metaphor to say that I don't have to wait for the speedometer to get down to zero. The instant I acknowledge what's happening, the tachometer, the RPMs drop like a plane when the engines go out. And that's all I need to do. And I'm just reminded of all this. I mean, everything you said, Patricia, is, and the reminder, and I put it in a comment when you were speaking, Patricia, that contrast is a good thing. And it doesn't mean that I'm living in my head struggling with the part of me that's like dad and the part of me that's like mom. There were good things about them, each of them, and there were things that weren't good. But what matters is forgiveness. As soon as I acknowledge everything, then that part of me that I have hated about them is no longer running me through my egoic mind. And now I got a chance to meet the right woman because I'm becoming the right man with myself. And it's the same with career. And it's not about envisioning me on the stage in front of thousands of people and then in the audience coaching people. It could just be, oh, wow, look at that bird, or look at that little child, or the guy from the plumbing who put in a new water heater yesterday in the house. And it was just all about, it's like, quickly. So in the last call last Friday, pardon me, Poonam mentioned about being exuberant and being loving, and everything falls into place. And I'm reminded of that in everything you said, Patricia. So I'm just fine. Thank you all.
Well, thank you for, enlivening the whole evening. It's like it ended on a beautiful, beautiful, hilarious note. So thank you so much. I'm grateful for your insights. Thank you for your
all.
presence. Thank you for choosing your divinity over your humanity. We will end the call on that high note.
Yeah.
Many blessings, much love, everyone. Have a spectacular weekend. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye.